And I really thought I was going to have to change the TikTok here. Like I thought I was going to have to remove it, but it's back, baby.
We're back. Yeah,
we're
very
back
quickly. Very quickly.
Yeah. Some would call it a golden age of social media.
Some would call it. Yeah. Well, unless you do things like Hitler.
Yeah. Great. Got to watch out for that. But yeah, we could stick here with the coordinators. So Ben Johnson leaves, basically told the team that day, I believe, after the game that he was not going to be returning, and thought it was going to be for either the Bears or the Raiders. Apparently, there had been long talks between Ben Johnson and the Raiders were probably going to make a push for him. Ultimately, he decided to go to Chicago within division, which has created a whole bunch of vitriol from the Detroit fans, which I get. But also, it's tough to fault a guy for taking a truckload of money to go to an organization that already has a lot of talent there.
Brand new rookie quarterback that you might like the talent of.
Yep. And a lot of cap space going into this offseason. So, it's tough to fault the guy for that. But I get it. Because if Brian Flores left my Vikings to go be the Bears head coach, which he interviewed for, I would be upset. I don't think I'd be upset at Flores, but I would be upset because you're losing a really good coach to a rival. It'll be interesting to see how it works out there. If there is a situation that is going to get the most out of Caleb Williams, that is probably it. The next closest thing would bring in a Cliff Kingsbury, who he's worked with in the past. But I think Ben Johnson is probably about as good of a fit as you can get because he's creative. His style probably meshes well with Caleb Williams. But that being said, while I wish him the best, I also hope for the worst because it is in my division. I know how good of a coordinator Ben Johnson can be with good pieces around him. And hopefully that magic just stays in Detroit and we see another kind of 2-year cycle of coach in Chicago and things fall apart there again because the NFC North is tough. It is tough to play in right now. We got a lot of good teams, a lot of things looking up for most teams. Not you, Jordan Love. And it's going to make it tough going forward.
It will be tough going forward. I think Ben Johnson is a great hire. Obviously, you see what he can do with a Jared Goff. You like the talents. You like the young talent on that team. You got to make sure you come in there with a culture change. And I think Ben Johnson is, well fit to do that for that squad. But Aaron Glenn getting a job. This fit I don't love for him, but I'm very happy that he's getting a head coaching job. I think he's earned it. But he's going to go to a tough situation. He's going to a Jets organization that I don't know if they're going to have a quarterback. And if they do have a quarterback, I don't think you have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. How do you feel? I mean, good for him on the hire, obviously. How do you feel fit-wise this works out for them? Because you got to think the Jets are going to be in the quarterback market again here pretty soon.
Yeah, it scares me for Aaron Glenn because I do think he's a good coordinator. Now, the connection is, he played there in the past, I guess. So that's kind of your connection. I just think this organization has terrible ownership. It eats and chews up people who go there, quarterback, coach, whoever. Robert Saleh, I think, is a damn fine coach, and he got chewed up, beaten up, spit out, and he's going to be better on the other side now because he's a good coach and he's going to go somewhere and be a good coach again, whether it's defensive coordinator or possibly down to Jacksonville. We'll see, but he's probably better off for it. Aaron Jones. Glenn is walking into that same sort of a situation. Who knows how long the leash is going to be? Obviously, he did really good things in Detroit with the defense despite the injuries, but he is definitely that motivator, that culture changer. Not that I don't think Saleh was, but I mean, I hope Glenn basically told them, like, I'm running this my way. I'm not going to cater towards diva, egotistical quarterbacks if you have them in here. This has to be done my way. That's why I'm going to accept this job, along with a lot of money, hopefully. but it is a
He
scary
told us he
situation.
wasn't going to go forward with Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to win with Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Like I really hope that those stipulations were in place and that everyone was on the same page. It's just tough to know with that ownership there how it's actually going to all shake out. Um, the other part of this is, and we talk about this a lot, is that it is tough to bring in a defensive head coach and to build a young quarterback. More than likely, in the next couple years, they are going to need to turn to a younger quarterback there in New York, unless they're able to find one through free agency or trade. But those typically are few and far between. And you normally are not on the winning end of a bargain when you go out and say, trade away your future for a piece of shit quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. I think it's safe to say that that didn't work out. It doesn't work out too often, right? That you can get a trade done and get a really good, serviceable quarterback in. So it could be a tough situation. It'll be interesting to see who he brings in to run his offense there because that guy, a lot of the focus is going to be on to fix that quarterback issue if when a new person comes in. So uh it's tough. I hope the best for him, but it's an uphill slog for him.
Yeah. I wish him the best. I hope Aaron Rodgers isn't there, so I can actually root the best for him. Because I just don't want Aaron to succeed at this point. I'm just being petty.
Me either.
Yeah, I'm just being petty.
I mean, we're still on the head coach hunt. We did have Ben Johnson go to the Bears. We did have Glenn go to the Jets. Sounds right now like there's some rumblings about Pete Carroll going to the Raiders because Ben Johnson was their first choice. I don't think Pete Carroll going to the Raiders is a bad thing for them at all. They did get a new GM in I think it's John Spytek from the Buccaneers squad. But another guy that's possibly going to be getting poached from the Buccaneers, offensive coordinator Liam Coen. The interesting thing is that, he was in talks with the Jaguars, and I believe it was yesterday, took himself out of the running. But mysteriously, he's back talking to them in Jacksonville today about that head coaching vacancy.
Oh my God, what changed?
What changed in the past 24 hours? Well, the Jaguars did something that should have been done arguably a year or two ago, or should have never happened. But they fired their GM, Trent Baalke, and Doug Peterson is rolling in his grave, if he had a grave, his coaching grave, because Baalke is the bane of existence for franchises. This should have happened a long time ago for this Jaguars franchise. When they said that they were going to get rid of Peterson, they absolutely should have cut ties with Baalke, because it probably dissuaded a lot of coaches from talking to the Jaguars, because it is pretty well known around this league that he's not a good GM and he's not good to work with.
Well, fucking Shad Khan is not exactly a ringing endorsement of an owner either. It's not somebody you necessarily want to work for. Yeah. I mean, he said right on the fucking call, he's like, if somebody gives me a reason why, I'll fire this asshole tomorrow. Basically. Yeah. Somebody finally gave him a reason to.
Yeah. And the hot take I think that I had when I was talking to you is that I think that Shad Khan is probably in talks right now to either hire Brick or Jack Johnson, Woody Johnson's sons, to come in as the new GM. This whole Madden thing sounds pretty interesting to him. Madden ratings could definitely work out in building an organization. I know that my Madden teams that I build are fucking fantastic. So if I can do it, these teenagers probably can too. And it's probably a shade better than what you were getting from Trent Baalke. But yeah, that leaves that Jaguar spot still open. Liam Coen, again, in talks there. It seems like things are really working towards him going to be the new head coach. However, Robert Saleh also is still heavily involved there. That is probably his best chance at getting another head coach gig. You also have Brian Flores, who interviewed there, but hoping that just fades off in the ether because I don't want you to leave me, Flores. You still do have head coach openings there with the Saints and the Dallas Cowboys as well. Cowboys, thank God, fired Moonface McCarthy. And they are in talks with their offensive coordinator, Schottenheimer, Ryan Schottenheimer, not Marty. I think Marty's dead.
I think
Rest
Marty
in
is
peace.
passed.
Rest in peace, Marty. But hopefully your son has a little bit of it because it seems like that's the way that they're leaning because I don't think the Dion thing is going to happen at this point.
Yeah. I thought man, if I'd have called that one too, I'd have been so happy.
Yeah. And look, there's reasons to kind of like the Cowboys spot. There's a lot of reasons not to. I don't think that there's many good reasons to like that Saints gig. That's a tough one. And then obviously the Raiders. I think that there's a lot going for the Raiders as well.
The cap hell down there in New Orleans still